Hey everybody, welcome back to another box office report. Hope you guys been enjoying the content channel as of late. We are entering April, this being March 30th, today as I'm recording this. And yeah, so we're just going to get into the box office report for what will be last month because I'll be posting this in April. So hopefully by next week. So yeah, so we got actually a couple of films that came out in March. I think it was about 11 films, and 11 notable films, and yeah. So we're gonna get into this. So before we start, as I usually like to do, preface my scaling, how I determine successes from failures. This is how I measure box office. So usually, if it's a single digit, I will do the two times ratio. If it's a double digit, I do 2.5, and if it's triple digit, I do triple its production cost. We also factor in any marketing expenses or any related expenses that is available to the public, any information that's out there. If it's not, then I usually just judge by the production expenses only. So I determine for the break-even points, but judging by the information that is out there, whether it be just squarely production or not. So now, I know that some people will, they'll use the two times ratio or 2.5. They usually use that normally, but because there's such a vagueness, in terms of how much films need to make nowadays, I think that the general conceit, at least to me, is that the greatest form of success is a three times ratio, and then 2.5 is typically where studios want films to hit nowadays. But they'll settle for a two times if it is so that the film is not going to be um, making the heights that it should. So that's how it appears to me. Two times used to be just a regular thing. Studios will accept that because they could afford that, but now they can't, so they need to make more money. Hence why we have these higher ratios. But I'm doing it like this because I am, considering the amounts that went into these productions, and hence what I feel is based on just information that I've read and just by other factors, this is how I see as a proper measurement in terms of box office. So that's just how we're judging it. So just so you guys understand how I'm judging these things. So and it's like I said, it's very vague as to what is considered success and what is not. But this is how I personally see it. But let's get into this because we got a couple of films that came out this past month, and we're gonna start off with Mickey 17. Came out on March 7th, obviously distributed by Warner Brothers, and we did a review on it. And of course, if you saw my review, I wasn't too crazy about the film. It seems like a lot of you guys weren't either because it did not perform that well. So far, it has grossed $121 million, sitting with a budget of at least $118 million. And according to an article that I saw from Deadline, I don't know if this was actually removed or if this is still available, but I think it was removed. I think it was like stuff that they weren't supposed to say or just information that they were fed but they were told to delete. I don't know. But maybe it's still publicly available. I don't know. But apparently, the reshoots were at least $10 million, according to Deadline. We know the marketing expenses were at least $80 million, so you compile that all together, you have an investment of $208 million. And if you go by my scale, it's a triple digit. Obviously, we do three times. So the break even point has to be around $624 million. And with a total gross so far of 121 million, that clearly is not the case. And we know this is going to lose Warner Brothers money. We've talked about it in the news roundup. This is looking to lose them at least $80 million. So, yeah, it might be a little bit higher because of just, the marketing cost is 80 million. So they're probably squarely just talking about production. And as I said, their scales, they're just looking at bare minimum, by just labor, what was literally done in that department, but not to what is what it should be doing. What is the actual break-even points for a film like this? It should be a lot higher, you know. But for bare minimums, they're it's going to cost them at least $80 million. So, and it might be actually more because marketing expenses were 80 million on their own. So, yeah, so we know this is already a loss for them. They publicly have already just this is information that we know. So we know this is a loss for them. So moving on to the next film, I believe also came out the same weekend as Mickey 17, a film called In the Lost Lands. This was, I believe, what's his name? Paul W. S. Anderson's latest film, guy behind the Resident Evil films, and stars Dave Bautista and Mila Jovovich. This came out the same weekend as Mickey 17, March 7th. It was distributed by Vertical, and yeah, it did not do too well at all. Actually, pretty much just bombed because so far it's made 4.6 million. Had a budget apparently of 55 million, and if it's double, I go 2.5. So 137.5 million is where it needs to hit. Sitting at 4.6 million so far as its total. Yeah, this has bombed. Major failure for this director and the studio. So not much to say on that. And clearly, I mean, the marketing, it was literally no marketing whatsoever. There was one trailer, I think, that was out there. And of course, when you're opening to against a more higher profile tentpole or picture like Mickey 17, something like this is going to get buried, and with really no marketing to speak of. Yeah, so yeah, this is a failure all around, a big bomb, the first real bomb of the month, and unfortunately not the last. So moving on from that, the next offering was Novocaine. Now we did a review on this as well, and I wasn't too crazy about this film either. Came out March 14th and was distributed from Paramount Pictures, if I'm not mistaken. And so far, it's not tracking too well. Remember, it came out on March 14th, so almost 2 or 3 weeks ago. So far, it has grossed 23 million, and it has a production cost of at least 18 million. We have no word on marketing expenses, and by production alone, it has to make at least 45 million to break even, according to my scale. And that really doesn't seem like it's going to be the case. Even if it's a 2 times ratio, it has to do at least like 30 something million. And I don't think that's going to be the case for this film. I think that it's going to become a small loss for Paramount at the end of the day. Not a major loss, but it is still a loss. And yeah, it just kind of really wore off. Just there wasn't a large appetite for the film. The theater I was in wasn't really all that interested when we walked out. Um, yeah, so definitely not a major failure, but still a failure. Just more in a minor capacity. So I believe the next film came out the same weekend. Yes, Opus. This had a release date of March 14th, same as Novocaine, distributed by A24, and, well, did not do too well. Had a total gross of 2.1 million so far, has a production cost of 10 million, no word on marketing. So if we're only considering a $10 million investment, break even point for that, according to my scale, would be 25 million. So yeah, this is bombed. Even on a 2 times, it would have to do 20 million. So this has failed. Absolutely has failed. Um, and yeah, there was literally no marketing for it. Also, the reception did not help. Not the greatest of responses coming out of it. So yeah, so it just pretty much came and went, and no one really went to see it. So yeah, so there's that. All right, next film we'll be discussing is Black Bag, which also came out the same weekend. This is Steven Soderbergh's latest film. Of course, he did Presents, which we talked about in the last. Yeah, I believe so. The last, or no, it was the first we did of this year. So uh, that turned out to do well. It turned to profit. So this is his latest film. Came out the same weekend, distributed by Universal Pictures, and not doing too great. Now, key difference between Presence and Black Bag is that Presence was a single-digit production. It's like something like 2-3 million. This is a more expensive production, 50 million. Total gross so far 27.5 million. And as a $50 million investment, according to my scale, it needs to break even at least $125 million, basically around 100 million if you're just counting a 2 times ratio. Yeah, so this has failed. This is a bomb as well, and yeah, not looking too great. Not looking too great there. So moving on from that, next film we'll discuss is The Day the Earth Blew Up. This is the Looney Tunes feature that was not going to be distributed by Warner Brothers. They opted to not distribute the film, and they decided to shop the film around. Catch Up Entertainment took it up. They're also taking up, I believe, the Coyote versus Acme film, which we discussed as well. And I find it funny that they're taking up another Looney Tunes feature because this has not done well. So far, it has made 10.4 million with a budget of at least 15 million. No word on marketing expenses, and just judging on a $15 million budget, has to break even, at least according to my scale, at least 37.5 million. And if it's 2 times, it's at least 30 million. So yeah, and keep in mind we're talking on March 30th. This came out on March 14th. So yeah, not great. That weekend specifically was just not great. Not a good weekend for any movies at all. So yeah, so this failed, uh, and yeah, it's just not looking great for the Looney Tunes series right now. Warner Bros. Especially just I don't know what it is. They're just not big on Looney Tunes, it seems. But there you have that. All right, next film we're going to discuss is Snow White. So we've talked about this film plenty of times on this channel. We did a review for it. I wasn't really happy about it, happy about the film, uh, and it seems like a lot of you guys just didn't really care to seek it out because so far it has made 143.1 million. Now, in production costs, we know were 270 million. We now know that marketing was an additional $100 million. So you have an investment of $370 million with a break-even point of at least $1.11 billion. Massive failure for Disney. At this rate, it's probably going to be like 300 million, 300 to 400 million potentially as its like total gross. And yeah, that's a massive failure for Disney, and many reasons for it. Obviously, which we've addressed on the channel, controversies as well as just general interest for the film was just very minimal. So yeah, it doesn't shock me, but it's definitely not looking good for Disney. And yeah, it's gonna amount to a very huge loss when it's all said and done. So, opening up against Snow White was The Alto Knights, Robert De Niro's film, distributed by Warner Brothers. Do not understand why, like similar to In the Lost Lands, very odd choice to put this film against a very high profile film. In the case of The Alto Knights, playing against Snow White. Don't know why they thought that would be a good idea, because clearly it wasn't. Because so far it's made $6.6 million, had a budget of at least 45 million, and just by that investment, as far as we don't know any marketing expenses, Judging purely by the production cost, if we're doing 2.5, we're looking at 112.5 million. And if it's just times two, it'd have to do at least 90 million. So at least roughly $100 million, at least so, to make this profitable. Clearly not going to be the case. So big bomb there for Warner Brothers. And apparently, it was a film that they were not so confident in terms of greenlighting it. And we're just going to discuss that, or I believe we've already discussed it actually. Yeah, because the news roundup would have already come out by now. So you guys already know based on that news roundup, or just if you read the internet, of course. Um, yeah, this film was not given with all the confidence in the world, very similar to Juror Number Two. So if they weren't confident about it, not entirely sure why they thought putting it against Snow White would help it either. So because it was buried, no one cared to see it. So now we're getting off to last three films, and these were just coming off of the weekend, and not looking too promising there either. We have A Working Man, which I think is a terrible title for an action flick, um, being distributed by Amazon Studios, and well, not doing too great. Total gross so far, or at least it opened to at least $30.2 million, has a budget of at least $40 million. We know the marketing costs, according to Deadline, were at least $20 million. So we have an investment of $60 million and a break-even point of at least $150 million. If it's just times it by two, $120 million. Clearly not going to be the case, especially because we have the Minecraft movie coming out this weekend, and we're pretty much slowly entering into the summer season. So seriously doubt this is going to be a major draw. Really, this should have came out in January, similar to The Beekeeper, which is the same guy directing this, David Ayer, and same star, Jason Statham. Don't know why they didn't just put this in January. That's purely why The Beekeeper made a profit to begin with, because it was one of the few offerings out there. So don't know why they thought it would be a good idea to put it near the tail end of the spring season. Not sure why they thought that was a good idea. Clearly that it wasn't. Clearly it wasn't a good idea. So, and then following from that, we have Death of a Unicorn. This is distributed by A24. This is the Jenna Ortega, Paul Rudd comedy with a killer unicorn. Uh, yeah, didn't do too well. I don't know why I said Unicron instead of unicorn, but yeah, I put Unicron for some reason. Sorry. If you're a Transformers fan, you know what I'm referring to. Um, but Death of a Unicorn uh, made 5.8 million on its debut. Had a budget of 15 million. We don't have any marketing expenses related to Death of a Unicorn. But in terms of a production, has to do at least 37.5 million according to my scale, and just generally has to do 30 million. If you're talking two times by what other people would consider. Yeah, this is flopped. This is another big flop. Two flops from A24. Damn, just man, A24 is just not catching a break. So yeah, another big failure there. Didn't seem like a lot of you guys cared to really check that one out. So you guys have that. And finally, we have The Woman in the Yard. This is the Blumhouse horror picture of a woman in the yard. And this is distributed by Universal Pictures, and also did not do too well. We have a total gross, or at least of its opening, of 9.5 million. Has a budget of at least 12 million, and we don't know any marketing expenses there. Break even point of at least 30 million according to my scale. 24 million if you're going off at just two times. Yeah, dude. That's not looking too good either. Probably not going to end up turning much of a profit. We'll see. I mean, depends on just the appetites, coming into the next coming weeks. This might honestly end up doing okay. If I'm really thinking about it, it might turn out to be okay, just because of how small that budget is, and horror just kind of being, kind of adding to a variety of offerings out there. Um, like in the case of Death of a Unicorn, um, that's a very specific audience that they're tapping into. With the Women in the Yard, it's a little more of a broader scope. So I think that might actually that has potential to do okay. So I'll walk back what I just said. I think that it might actually end up being okay. But so far, how it's debuted, definitely not a strong start. So we'll see how things stack up in the coming days. So, but if you're counting at home, as we've discussed, there's 11, I think 11 films that I've just listed here. Not a single one has turned a profit. Wow, not a single film, at least major film wise. Just to be, be fair here, none of them have made money. None of them have made money. The only one that I have real confidence in, or really feel that has a chance to making good money or turning a profit, is The Woman in the Yard. Novocaine, I don't think so. I doubt, because I've been seeing the numbers for that film. It's just been dropping off. Um, but everything else, yeah. But as it stands, nothing has turned a profit. Nothing has turned a profit, and that is very, very concerning. Very, very concerning. You can understand why studios are desperate to get to the summer, because it's just been a really, really bad start for the year. I mean, just generally looking at the year as it is right now, we have 5 films that have turned a profit. In the last video, I forgot to mention Bridget Jones. I don't know why I thought it went to streaming, uh, but yeah. And there's some films here that I didn't mention, like The Electric State. We all know that was a failure. Netflix themselves didn't even want to release numbers relating to that film. So we know that that film was absolutely a failure, especially when you consider the production costs associated with that film. Magazine Dreams, another film that came out, that we knew was a failure as well. That made like not even close to $1 million. I should have done a segment for this, but that's fine. Um, but yeah, at least so far, guys, 24 failures compared to the 5 that have done well. One of them Days, Presents, Dogman, Bridget Jones, Mad About the Boy, and The Monkey. But not a single film from this month, or this from March, made money, or is remotely close to making money. Like I said, the 2 exceptions could be Novocaine and The Woman in the Yard. But other than that, it was a bad month for films. It was a bad month. It was a really, really bad month. And you can really start to understand now why studios are just running towards April and May, because they are desperately hoping that they will collect some kind of they'll get some kind of comeback story in the next coming months. And judging by what's coming out, we know that Minecraft is not looking to open too strongly. I know that there are some articles that may be that might refute that, but early projections were not that great. Um, and I don't even know what else is coming out in April, like major wise. Um, but yeah, yeah, I just think everyone's just hoping, or just they're holding on until May, because that's when we start rolling out with like films like Thunderbolts and other things, and hopefully there we might see better financial returns, because this this was a terrible month. Just just to be blunt about it, it was a terrible month. and I think everybody kind of knew it. And I mean, some studios are just kind of throwing their hands up. Warner Brothers, we saw, just with Mickey 17, the Alto Knights also. Disney, we know for a fact, is, they're trying their best to salvage it. I've been seeing just some articles here and there with them just trying to not make it seem like it's as bad as it is, but we all know, like, just by those numbers, this weekend was a 60, like an over 60% decline from the last weekend, its opening weekend. So yeah, it's just been a really grim month for films, and hopefully next month will show a little bit more optimism, a little bit more promise. But I see some further struggles ahead. Even in the summer, I could see definitely some struggles coming in the summer as well. But that is the report for March, guys. Definitely not a great month. It was a very, very poor month for films. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below in terms of how you scale things. Do you guys think that there were any profits made this past month? I didn't see any, based on my scale and based on just how regular scales work. But let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below in regards to just finances. Just with all these films, how they've been performing. What are the reasons behind some of the failures that you think? And your hopes for April. What do you think is going to do well? Do you think Minecraft's going to end up doing well? Do you think it's going to end up doing good business, or are you like me, or you have some hesitations? Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below. And that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until then, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.